Hello everybody, this is my review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I saw it last night and I absolutely loved it. This is going to be my spoiler review. At the top, I just wanted to say real quick, if you really want to see this movie not be spoiled, go see it. Highly recommend it. See it in the premium screen, IMAX, Dolby, whatever you can. Even if you got to drive a little bit further, go to a very nice, pristine theater because there's so much to experience visually. It really is a feast, but it is also a very captivating story, and you are going to be hanging on every word going into Act 3. So I highly recommend this film. If you're a fan of the first film, which I am, it's great. The intro to the first film, I think, has a stronger impact compared to this one, and it's tough because you want to compare immediately because that's what you're going off of in the first movie. But I'm sure I'll enjoy this intro just as much if I give it some more time. It is a bit different, but it still has a very effective beat, both musically and also within the story itself. The clashing animation that happens within the film is awesome. And there was a number of very specific moments with a character named Hobby, Spider-Punk, that shows up in the movie, that was really cool to behold. It just allowed me to go, that is one character in this type of animated world or style, and he is in a whole other different world, yet the clash works so well, and it works so well within the essence of his character because he's punk to his core, and so he's not supposed to conform or be part of the background. He's supposed to stand out in kind of whatever type of setting. But what's great about his character with Spider-Punk is that it's not cliche or tongue-in-cheek or written by somebody who doesn't understand the essence of punk, I would say, right? I've never been in the world of punk, so I'm talking as an outsider that I respect it, especially growing up with the film SLC Punk and that type of kind of vibe and mentality, and also, experiencing the music out of the punk scene, especially out of the UK, anarchy in the UK. You hear that and that's a pillar of our cultural makeup, and so to have it expressed and represented through this character I felt was awesome. It made punk feel punk, the way that it should be, up against the establishment. But in order for punk to really work, you have to know what the establishment is, right? And that's what Act 2 really started to solidify. It felt like a little bit to get there, and I was concerned that it was going to lean too much on the multiverse, kind of the multiverse circus, the multiverse off the rails. But it did it in a way that was fast moving and great, that it didn't interrupt the story. It was part of the story, but the story kept driving through those moments. So they were fun detours that made us as the audience laugh for sure and really enjoy it, but it did not overstay its welcome. And it left me wanting just a bit more. And that's probably the best way to do it as a director, right? Always leave your audience wanting more, just a little bit more. And if it was cool if we had one more scene, in a different universe, maybe that could have worked. But also save maybe some of the bigger, heavy hitters for the next film, right? We're going to talk more about that later. Okay. Making the multiverse personal. That is the essence, that is the core of making a good film, is you have to make the story personal, right? Spider-Man, No Way Home definitely made it personal. This film makes it personal for Miles, and it makes it personal for a lot of different individuals because so much is at stake with multiple universes, multiverses, but still they have canon, they have fixed points, they have specific things that have to happen within each of their universes that make them who they are as spider people. And if that canon event, as they call it in the film, if that canon event, which I like that way, this is canon, it has to happen, an Uncle Ben character type person has to die in order for Spider-Man to become Spider-Man or Spider-Woman, Spider-Person. So, looking at all these different lives that are intertwined, and you think about Madam Web and her involvement in this, and you're like, if she was the leader here, maybe she would have a better idea, a better plan than Miguel currently in how to fix this situation. But you see the desperation of Miguel O'Hara's character, who we saw at the end of the first film, which I thought was so great. It's like, yes, a teaser that leads into the sequel, so you feel like there is a plan creatively behind the scenes. And this plan is moving forward at a very accelerated pace. But there are moments in the film that slow down and build wonderful character moments between a son and his parents. And with school and being Spider-Man and not having really any other friends or contacts that he made through this wonderful journey because they're all gone in their other multiverses, and feeling really alone. That was very deep. And I think also for a lot of young people, when they look at that prospect of, do I leave home to go to college? Do I go to down a specific path, a specialized path? Do I know what I want to do? And some people at 15, 16 years old, they do, until they go and do it until they're about 21, and they're like, I want to do something else now. But at least they know. At least they went down that path and they made a decision and they stuck to it. But you'll also notice a lot of times in the first year of college, freshman year, either after the first semester or second semester, people will change their major for sure. I did. I changed mine. I went in for computer engineering and I came out as an actor. Oh, man. Okay, so you have that school aspect for sure. Fun to see Rachel Dratch as a character. And it was great to hear these different voices. I believe it's Daniel Kaluuya that plays Hobie. And yeah, it was cool, man. Even though I'm going to have to get subtitles to understand some of the phrasing, but they even had subtitles pop up, little comic windows to to explain stuff, which was awesome. And it was great to see our guy from the Spider-Man video game show up in the movie, just briefly, but you hear his voice, you see him real quick. That was fun. That was really fun. Along with the woman from Venom. I forget the character's name, but she's the one that works at the bodega store, the convenience store, that Eddie frequents and protects. So it was really fun to see her. The Miles family dynamic also is echoed with the Stacy family dynamic. And so we focus on Gwen Stacy at the beginning of the film with her drummer poetry vibe, which was fun. But her trials and tribulations and how much they are intertwined with Miles. And she's a bit older than him. I love the joke that the mom makes, like, she looks old enough to vote. And she is a bit older than him, but she feels she notices the way that Miles feels about her, but she's conflicted, but she's not conflicted in an immature way. She's conflicted in a very, I think she's musing the possibilities. She's musing the possibilities, but she wants to do it right. But you get to understand why she's so conflicted. And it just dawned on me right now. She still has those feelings for Miles, but she knows the truth about Miles that Miles doesn't know. And big spoilers here, okay, big spoilers. But they hint towards it. They hint at it at the beginning where, we can't have him involved. We can't invite him. Like, we cannot invite Miles to be part of this super secret club of spider people that are trying to save the multiverse. And you think, is it because he's 15? Like, is it because he's young, or what's going on? He just went through this adventure and he stopped the collider and saved, the multiverses previously. Why do you not want him to be part of the team? And then it's revealed later. You know what? Again, the breadcrumbs are dropped here and there. So let's talk more about that stuff in a second, okay? But we'll get there. All right, I want to talk about the spot first. Villain of the week is an insult to this person. And being dismissed just continues to fuel his rage. And I remember that phrase, especially being a huge fan of Smallville or any episodic series where they had 22 to 24 episodes per season. So they had to fill, or they would have 40 minutes based around this villain of the week, this creature of the week, and then 4 minutes based around character growth or some sort of interaction within the family, or Superman learning a new power or something like that. It just was, you could tell sometimes. But that dynamic was really cool to see with the evolution of the villain, both in, finding out how he was involved. He's the guy that got hit in the face with a bagel. His creation is a consequence of Miles' actions on top of the guy's own actions, right? I mean, he was the one working there, but he was the one that brought the spider, the 42 spider, across from a different dimension, from a different universe, from a different multiverse, and that's the spider that bit Miles. So that's the whole big crux of this giant situation. Why Gwen is more conflicted, why Miles cannot be invited to be part of this group, why he is a bigger problem, as Miguel O'Hara says, problem, quotations, is because he was never meant to be bit by a spider. There already was a Spider-Man in his multiverse, in his universe. And that spider being transported across and then biting another person was like not meant to happen. So Miles is this complete outlier. And that further reverberates with what his mom says, bro. Ooh, that scene with his mom was wonderful. Good parenting. What she's telling him is, don't let people like make you feel that you don't belong wherever you go and what you want to pursue. And that can be really, really good advice, especially when you're going to leave home and go to school and you are trying to figure out what your next steps are. That will really kind of guide the rest of your life in multiple ways. So him really being an outcast and compared to all these other spider people is really, I mean, that you really feel for Miles and you're really like, ooh, that's not fair. He didn't ask for that. He wasn't like going out and exploring different universes. He wasn't the one that made the collider. So then I started to kind of think about more of what Miguel O'Hara's approach was, and it's becoming too establishment. It's becoming too aloof. It's becoming no longer personal. And Spider-Man is a personal character. He's an everyman. That's why he's so beloved. So that's the establishment, and that's what Hobie's going to fight against. And you're like, dude, that's where punk rocks, man. You know. But it's conflicted to define this establishment, to define the true villain, and that villain is letting somebody die in order for the entire multiverse to be saved, right? And what a conundrum, because the conundrum is his dad, bro. His dad's going to make Captain, just like Captain Stacy. His dad's going to make Captain, and the Captain does die within the Spider-Man world. Whew. So it was just really cool to see the establishment solidified in Act 2 and not lean too heavy in this whole multiverse conundrum, but to make it big, make it fun, and then make it personal and small. Loved the Mumbai Manhattan. If I'm mispronouncing it, my apologies, but it was so fun. It was so much fun. The meta jokes were wonderful. The commentary was great. The jokes back and forth and kind of the, yeah, we know the story of Spider-Man type vibe, but seeing that story played out through different cultures was awesome. And everybody was celebrating and have a great time with it. And I noticed, I was laughing, having a good time. My mom was laughing, who I took out. We love Spider. We're Spider fans here, the household. My dad would have gone, but he had shoulder surgery, so we're going to watch it at home when it comes out. But it just, the jokes were dialed in, man, and it didn't take you out of the story. It really, really moved. There were a couple moments I didn't really understand what they were saying because things were moving so fast and visually there was a lot, but I maybe noticed that the IMAX sound was not completely dialed in. Like the dialogue could have been bumped up a little higher. Could have just been my theater and they were trying to get the mix right because it was only the second, playing. But let me know in the comments below if you felt the same way, if the sound mix could have been better or if the dialogue could have been pumped up a little bit or what. But yeah, definitely lots of laughs. Detours into the other multiverses were a lot of fun. The Lego one is the Venom one. People were like, "Yeah, oh, that's her." And the Lego one, everybody was laughing, dude. The beep boops were just so hilarious, man. Everybody was cracking up, and it was, it was a nod to the filmmakers who made the Lego movie. The Act 3. So Miles goes back, gets sent back, but it's set up. It is set up in the world that. Oh, my cat wants to say hi. All right, guess not, kitty. Bye-bye. The world creates those rules that you're sent back according to the DNA in your according to your DNA, right? It'll send you back to that universe, and you see a version of Rhino get sent back, and you feel kind of sorry for him because it's scary. Like, ooh, this is kind of nuts. But then Miles gets sent back. He goes, and some of the other Spider folks kind of recognize, like, yeah, this. Things aren't right here. We got to do something else. And one of them, Spider Bite, lets him get out of there. But it plays it so well in the filmmaking that Gwen is trying to go to that universe to see Miles and the parents. She goes, and he's not there, bro. He's in the universe that the spider that bit him is from, not his original one. And he's going to one that has no Spider-Man. And his uncle is still alive. He opens the doors. The sound is incredible. The slow motion animation style, like, dude, what is happening? This is crazy. And then the big reveal that his dad is dead. It wasn't his uncle that died. It was his dad. And you see him get hit by the Prowler, get knocked out. Even though his uncle was looking at him, I was like, that was weird. Was it like him thinking that was the Prowler and his uncle had hit him? And then he wakes up and you see the uncle having the glove on. And, the uncle noticed something was up because he changed his hairstyle, didn't have his braids. But then he's like, yo, you're the Prowler. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then boom, it's Miles, bro. It's Miles from that universe. And the way that Miles carried his body language, he was so much more emotionally cool. And I don't mean cool as in like, oh, that's awesome, but I just mean cool as like, just, the swagger, the difference compared to this a kind of overactive, slightly happy-go-lucky, but fun Miles. Just what a stark difference between the two. And I noticed something was wrong when he was talking to his mom and he was going to confess. And it kept cutting back to Gwen, and Gwen's listening to the parents' conversation, and it's cutting to Miles, or it's cutting to the parents, and it's cutting to Miles, to the mom, and Miles tells her, but her eyes are green. And I almost whispered over like, yo, her eyes are green. Something's wrong. Something's different. But then it was revealed when the uncle walked in. But yeah, her eyes were green. I was like, there's something up. Her eyes are a different color in his home. So yeah. He's stuck in that universe, man. But Gwen's going to round up the gang, get the old characters back together, go try to save them. So and it went into the cliffhanger, dude. It was so, you could feel it in the audience because I could feel the music swell and I could feel kind of like, wow, we've been on quite a journey. I don't know what the runtime is, but we're getting there. And I think that Act 3 is going to end here pretty soon. And it builds and builds and builds, and you see the game back together, but nobody talks in the gang. They all swing out, and I'm like, oh, shoot, they're going to end it here. I couldn't believe it, and I was so happy that they had the courage to do that. It's the Empire Strikes Back, baby. It's the Empire Strikes Back ending. It's a cliffhanger where things are dark, but there's still hope. I'm going to be thinking about what's going to happen next every day until part 3 comes out. That is the beauty about doing this type of cliffhanger. And that's the beauty about Sony believing in the filmmakers and all of the collaborative and creative minds that came together to create such a unique, creative, and different film that made all of us cheer and clap at the end. People are like, oh, don't clap in theaters. I clap if I enjoyed myself because I come from the theater. And yeah, it's not people live on stage that are performing, but it's people that are performing in a fixed position for a long amount of time in order to bring you something wonderful. And it was wonderful. So kudos to everybody that put together Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I cannot wait for the sequel, Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I believe will come out in a year. I also can't wait for all the memes and the jokes and the clips that I get to watch on YouTube, especially of the Lego Spider-Man universe with the beep boop 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 beep boop. Oh man, like everybody was rolling, dude. Everybody was sold on the film as soon as the Lego scene happened, and it is emotional. There is emotional. There definitely were a couple tears for sure, but it's such a cool story. It's so cool and it's deep. And one other element I'd like to recognize is that, with these multiverse stories, you can have fun with them in spectacular ways. But in order for you to tell a successful multiverse story, is you have to see how these different chances or choices affect us and how much that can affect us. And if you are put in somebody else's shoes, if they had the same opportunities you did or lack thereof, would you have ended up the same way? And I think that is a very, very, very powerful story to tell, especially for young people. I'd say especially for anybody, but especially for young people. And I'm happy that myself, along with everybody else out there, has somebody to look up to, and that's Miles Morales in these movies, along with the rest of his friends. Okay, everybody, that is my review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go and see the movie. I had a wonderful time taking some time off from YouTube to work on the garden. I'm going to make a compilation video of all the stuff we put together for the garden, but it's looking fantastic. But it's June, and I plan to make a video at least once a day, if not be live. We got Diablo 4, we got Street Fighter 6. this month. I only have a few more challenges. I played a lot of Resident Evil 4 Remake, so I had a few more challenges left over that I tried to accomplish, but get them all before the end of the month. But that's okay. But that's what's going to be happening here on the channel. Video games, talking about film. Succession just ended. Wow. What a time to be alive, folks. And Little Mermaid, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Okay, everybody. I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.